Good afternoon, Meghna and Pooja, and welcome to Design Dialogues hosted by Rethinking the Future in collaboration with Fublis. This is your host Bhavya, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Pooja and Meghna, the founders and principal architect of M+P Architects. Welcome today. Just to give a brief introduction about your studio, Meghna plus Pooja Architects is a Pune-based architectural practice specializing in thoughtful, sustainable, and aesthetically refined design. With over a decade of experience, their diverse projects include bungalows, schools, offices, and urban planning projects across Maharashtra, MP, Goa, Bengal, and Karnataka. They focus on simplicity, clarity, and ecological sensitivity throughout their projects. So before starting the questions, I would like to inform you that this interview will be published on the website of Fublis. So sign up on the Fublis website and you'll get the access to watch this interview. So shall we proceed with the questions? Yeah. So question for the day. Could you share how your studio M+P Architects emphasizes on simplicity, clarity, and beauty, which is a practically integrated part of your design process, especially in your complex projects?
The thought process that we feel that if we follow from start to finish, our aim is to not just bring it out in design, but also in the process that we work. So our design process also integrates all these steps where we have clarity of design, we know what we want to do, for which a pre-study is very important. So whenever we have a client, we make sure that we understand their requirements perfectly. And we make sure that all our processes are in place before we start with the design so that there are no hindrances later. And the more clarity you have in your thought from the beginning, not just for design, but also for in terms of how you deal with the clients and interact with them, I think it shows up in the final outcome. And that process sort of continues throughout each and every stage of the project. Whether it is clarity in communication, clarity in design, clarity in how we deal with our contractors and with different agencies. So it sort of encompasses in our entire working.
Okay. So moving on to another question. Talking about your project Bungalow 8, how does it seamlessly blend of traditional and modern elements? Can you describe what are the specific design strategies did you employ to create a harmonious integration between these contrasting styles?
Essentially, we believe in if there is a potential in the existing house, that should be maximized. So we are not the kinds to, how master architects can, have a style which sort of overpass everything that is existing. So we believe that one should integrate what is existing. And so we studied, and there were elements which could be picked up and which could be celebrated in the existing house. For that reason, there were certain elements, whether it was certain moldings or cornices or the color white, which was very prominent over the entire society also. So we thought, why not highlight that and take that as a theme and then marry that white with natural materials of a very rough floor, but multicolored floor. So we have, it's a mix of various quotas, which are natural elements. Then there is lime paint on the walls, and then the exterior is a nice white because it sits really well in the lush landscape that surrounds the house. And of course, we got in a lot of light inside the house through extensions, through skylights, through extended lobbies, taking care of all their needs, which was essentially, a good welcoming space, a good parking space, good space for the dog, being able to enjoy the garden beyond it being just a view where you could interact with it. So there are some semi-open spaces, there are some veranda spaces. So it was marrying both of these, the existing and the new, with their needs and creating a different style through the entire. So again, it's not something that we go in with an idea of this is what we want to do for this project. No, it sort of evolves through our, like I said, interaction with clients with their requirements.
So, what were the challenges did you encounter when balancing privacy with the open and inviting ambience of this project, particularly within the interiors and outdoor transitions?
Privacy issues are always there. Every time you are trying to open up a window or a view, then obviously there are privacy issues because not everybody is staying in farmhouses, where you're looking at large landscapes. So we are always looking at ways of And in cities, or even if you're in a farmhouse and you have a large area, it's not just privacy from people. Often people are worried about insects coming in, or weather elements coming in. So every opening or every view is designed for everything. It's for insect protection, it's for people protection, it's for air conditioning, or ventilation. There has to be natural ventilation. There also has to be the possibility of artificial control, as well as having all options open. So every fenestration is designed for all aspects. And privacy, thankfully, in our projects is can be tackled well, because there are layers. So you can have a compound wall, or a second layer, or a third layer of privacy, from where greens can be kept within the courtyard, or the plot can open up into a garden, which then again has a passageway. So you can have layers of privacy. So there's private, then there's semi-private, and then there is absolutely the public zone. That also can be managed in smaller houses also, if planned well.
So, what role does transparency and honesty play with your client relationships, and how does this impact your project outcomes and depends upon client satisfaction?
That is paramount. From day one, everything is going to be for us. Honesty is most important. We don't want to restrict ourselves with, withholding things, or not trying to satisfy all the clients' needs and trying to force fit our uh, viewpoints on them. Whatever it is, sometimes it so happens that during the course of a project, you realize, okay, maybe we are not on the same page, but we do mention it to the clients. So there have been times where the clients and we realize that maybe this project is not ideal for us, because what they want from an architect is very different from what we are giving them. So in the past, there have been, I mean, very few times, but it has so happened that we have to give up a project in the beginning, because we realize that it's not working. But I think to keep it clear from day one is essential, because then the clients also respect you more, and they will also be very open in terms of sharing their grievances or their hesitancies with us about that.
Pooja, do you want to add something to that?
I think integrity of any firm matters, and that is what carries forward. That is what gets you further clients. I mean, A, there is word of mouth, and B is, if you can convey that your way of working clearly, be it your website, be it your Instagram, I think somewhere the honesty has to reach the person who's contemplating on whether to give you work or not. So I think people are all very choosy now. Clients also are well studied and well versed with what is available in the market. So I'm sure they also are judging practices and wondering whom to approach. So where there is a comfort level, where there is that connection and that integrity which they feel, I'm sure people come to us for that.
So talking about another project of yours, that is Jalihal House. So, how did you manage to approach the unique blend of openness and inclusivity in the balance of that project, given that the client needed a very family-oriented space?
Design, it's a process. So even the clients were unsure initially of how they wanted their house to be. So we sort of went along with them to give them options to study what was working for them, so that even they could realize what they really wanted. Because initially, if we are proposing something, we try to give out very opposite, diametrically opposite ideas to them, just to throw things at them to see whether they are liking something, whether they feel that, okay, this is what is going to add value to their land and to their idea. And that is how we came about that process, where through the design process, through the blend of all that we had shown them, whatever they were liking and disliking, even they realized what kind of spaces they really needed. Because with discussions, there's always a difference between what some people in the family want versus the other, and how we could balance those. We also came to the point that, okay, we do need a family space, but we are also going to entertain a lot over here. So we want something which is good enough or cozy enough for a family, and can be sort of, where an extended group of people could come in. And not just for them, I mean, it's also, again, layers that we talk about, where you have your immediate family where you're very close to, spaces for them versus spaces for someone who you're not that close to, but you want to meet them every few days. So each and every family, or our Indian lifestyle is such that we have all these set of people whom we interact with. And for not just for this project, for any project, we have to design spaces where people can actually have those kind of interactions and very positive outcomes of those interactions.
Rooms from where one can see the lake, the third private space. Then there is the formal living on top, from where you can see a four-sided view. You can see the lake, you can see the hills. That's one more, area where people can congregate and meet. So within the same, because as architects, you start with a clean slate. From there, you have to create these spaces for them to see, enjoy. So there's a tiny common space, like a common basin, a little powder room, an open to sky shower. So on a clean slate to create these elements is that's planning, and then to add charm to it, whether it is that entire house has a South Indian feel because of all the elements of old wood and furniture that we have used, and it's structurally used, it's integrated in the existing modern use of it. The elements help in creating that charm and a presence to the planning. The basic planning obviously works and the clients love it, but to take it a step beyond was what we tried by taking the extra effort of getting all these elements integrated in the entire space.
So, following along with the same thing that you just mentioned, that is the Jalihal House layout. So, what were some of the most significant challenges that you had encountered while preparing the layout for the same, and how did you navigate these constraints to achieve the final design?
Challenges, like I explained, the layout and house was pretty standard. I mean, a standard process of design as such, where you follow all the steps and you come to a good mix. When you work, and there was a point at a time when we realized that we had access to several of these old furniture units. There were columns, old wooden columns, there were old wooden doors, very nice operational pivoted doors. So to change and get these elements to marry with our design was the challenging part as an architect, to ensure that it gels with. It should not look pastiche. It should not look like it is an element on show. There are operational doors. Every room has a nice old wooden door, Mangalorean style, with the old hardware, and everybody uses it. That's fine. And like you had mentioned earlier, taking care of all aspects of where you get the view, you don't get the animals, the insects, you get the openness, you get control, you get natural ventilation, you get sunlight into the house. Taking care of all these aspects with olden materials in a modern setup for modern families was the challenge, and I think we sort of managed it well.
So, how has working in different geographical areas across India, as I mentioned in the introduction, also, you have a lot of projects going in MP, in Goa, and Karnataka. How has it influenced M plus P's design approach and methodology towards projects?
Situated in a very uniquely diverse country. And I think that is our strength. That is what we enjoy the process of visiting different places and to understand what is local. And to realize that instead of going with a set idea of what you want to do, keep an open mind, explore what people really do over there, understand their technology, understand the people, understand how locals work. Because that is a very important part we forget. We might implement some of their technologies, but finally it has to be made by the local people. So we, as a practice, like to the fact that we want the integration of local labor and integration of local technologies within our projects. So that is a key learning for all of us, because what happens is that if you go with a set mindset that this is what we want to do, this is the design we want to achieve, and that is fine, you can get it made by anyone, you set an agency in. But if you really want to make it a very very local and make it a complete part of the surroundings, you have to involve people around, you have to understand their skills, and you have to make your mind and your design more malleable to whatever is surrounding. That I think is the primary learning we have from all these years of travel.
So, do you want to add something to that, Pooja?
Well, I mean, practically speaking, where if there's a new project in a new area, obviously one needs to go there and build your resources, look and grapple around, look for a local contact, resources. Often it's the clients who is, I mean, somebody who has a piece of land in some area obviously would have some connect. So that's what we explore. And as architects, we are designers. So we have to visualize for the climate, for the context. Then the next step is using the appropriate technology, using the local labor and all. So primarily as visualize, we have the skill to visualize and the skill to execute, make sure that we are designing well for the client, for the context, for the site, and for the people there. The rest is, you sort of go through the tunnel. You have to get, take everybody along and go through the entire process of building a house, building, whatever, creating the space. It's a part and parcel, whether it's here, whether it's there, whether it's in a different country, that's also possible. I mean, like they teach us basics of architecture. There are bylaws everywhere. There are basics of construction everywhere. There are basics of services everywhere. So, location specific challenges are just that when you reach the location, you have to grapple for the resources there. And that's okay. I mean, wherever you go, you can do that.
So, talking about another project of yours, so with reference to Tingre Nagar Residence, so how did you guys manage to have an approach about zoning and circulation for that space as it embodies a very distinctive spatial flow for that project?
This house was a clear plot of land in a very dense area with neighbors sticking very close. And it was to be a single family, multiple apartment, but currently
For
a
a
single
joint
family,
family.
for a joint family. So, multiple floors, but with a single efficient service block and clear large floors, of which then we could play with, one duplex, one single apartment, large parking space so that everybody could park their car simultaneously.
This is because of the limitation of the volume. I mean, the limitation of the length and the width of the plot. We had to really think of the volume. So spaces, the individual blocks were split into multiple volumes. That's how it has evolved.
And a very practical approach also for building, that it's a straight jacketed RCC structure with large spaces, very practical openings for furniture, which is not, you know, it wasn't an effort to build a multi-luxurious house with, ye dekho ye kiya hai, wo kiya hai. It was a very simple, straightforward apartment, and how to get simplicity in a minimalistic approach was the idea. So there are large floor plates, large living rooms, clear bedrooms, and then the large floor plate sort of gets sorted by loose furniture which the client already had, which we knew that, how whatever area we give them, we knew that the clients will make a good sense of it in terms of interiors. So our main task was to get good light and ventilation and space, like just large volumes and large floor plates with a good positive sense to the entire house. So from outside, it's very simple. One does wouldn't even realize that there is, a four-floor structure in this dense neighborhood. Very little jazz, no LED lights, no fancy cladding, textures, nothing. It's a plain, simple house. But the beauty is when once you enter and you explore the spaces inside, that you feel that yes, there is a nice openness and light coming in, despite it being in the very tight and dense neighborhood.
Now the challenge over there was they had a lot of trees in that plot, and we had to design all our foundations, all the building pockets, and receding volume to cater to these trees. I mean, the trees are thriving, and it's great because the moment they look out of the windows, they see those trees, and the trees are growing along with the family, so to say.
Looking back to your journey so far in the architecture field, what major lessons and insights you have learned so far that you want to share with aspiring architects and professionals?
Well, important thing is, I think you have to take all the learnings you can from each and every project, except that, okay, if some things did not work, try to improve on them, although we try not to get into that situation in the first place. And I feel that as architects, we need again to keep an open mind, see what's around you. I think the technology is growing so fast, and techniques coming in into the industry. It's growing so rapidly. We have to keep our eyes and ears open. We have to interact with others, not just architects, but also people from other professions. Understand what people really demand of our profession, and to basically keep up with the times and to try to build your skills as much as you can through maybe more interactions through smaller courses, just reading a lot as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, we're learning together.
We learn from people who work with us as well. They are the youngsters who come up with fresh ideas, and we are always open to it. Sometimes they're a bit hesitant, but we encourage them to be a part of the process as much as we are.
I think knowledge has no age barrier towards, like, you can learn from a 10-year-old kid and you can also learn from an
Absolutely.
80-year-old person. So yeah, of course. So moving on to the last question for the day, Pooja and Meghna. So talking about future of M+P Architects, what new directions or innovations are you most excited to explore within your studio's work as you continue to grow and adapt?
I think today there is a lot of focus on green technology. And what I'm most excited about is the exploration of traditional building materials and traditional, all kinds of materials that we have, which people are trying to get into the mainstream manufacturing and all. And I mean, that's the direct application of the research into our industry as such. In terms of design, yes, I mean, I'm always open to explore. We enjoy traveling, so we like to, open our minds to whatever's going on in the world and trying to absorb as much as we can. So we are hoping to grow little by little and learn in the process.
Generally, I'm the kind who likes to just grow more, so I have more projects at hand, and it's it's like my fingers always itching to tackle something new. So if it's one thing is here, then I need one more thing, and then one more thing, so it never ends. So that's always the thing to look forward to keep growing and have more design challenges and more projects all the time.
Another exciting thing is that through so many years of design and architecture, we come across so many interesting people, who have their own journeys, and we are so happy to be a part of that. And we would like to continue that, and we would like to continue being a part of their growth as well. So that's something that I'm also looking for.
Thank you so much for your answer. By the way, very, very fresh perspective on your answers. I really like that. And so this was the last question for the day. So thank you so much for giving your precious time. It was a pleasure to have you here both. And don't forget to sign up on the Fublis website.